Welcome back to the bench. In the previous video you saw me tear down this A1200 I just received with the busted keyboard. We had a quick look at the board and we could see all the caps were in good condition, so no signs of leakage, but as mentioned I will want to recap it anyway, because they will eventually leak and that will destroy the PCB. Which leads us on to the sponsor of our video today, PCB Way.
Let me take a moment to thank the sponsor of this video, PCB Way, my favourite manufacturer of prototype and low-cost PCBs. The quality of their boards is superb. They also offer CNC machining, sheet metal fabrication, 3D printing and injection moulding. They can even assemble your boards for you. Sign up today as a new member and get a $5 welcome bonus. There is a link to their website in the video description where you can check out the amazing services they have to offer. Now back to the bench.
Okay, so a couple of things to remember when working on these old boards. For these electrolytic capacitors, you need to use an iron with a good sized tip on it, good thermal mass, because you will have to to combat the large ground plane. I have seen, or I've even repaired boards where people have used an inadequate soldering iron and have ended up damaging the board, either gouging parts out of the board by pressing too hard, or just destroying the pads by using too much heat for too long of a period of time. I'm also going to remove the RF modulator because it's all rusty and I can even see that there's some rust under it, so it's probably not doing any harm to the actual board at the moment, but I don't want to run the risk, and I'm never going to be using the RF modulator anyway. So that could be used maybe for a HDMI output at some later time. And then I'm going to remove the two audio sockets. People say to remove the keyboard connector, but that's not necessary. This outer sheath comes off, you can just unclip that, and that gives you adequate space to get into the back of that capacitor then. The only things that are really in the way are these two jacks, so if you remove those, then it gives you plenty of access to get in there with your iron without risking melting anything. So you will get those off first, but when we come to actually desolder the caps, there's several different methods. The one I prefer is to use this cheap, inexpensive, I think it cost me like €12 like 5 years ago off Amazon. So it's good, you can literally just go in there, both sides of the cap, heat it up, gently lift it away. The very best way of doing it, or two soldering irons. There are many other ways of doing it, cutting them off and then taking the plastic off and then desoldering the legs. Or just the twist off method, and both of those are fraught with danger because you can tear the pads off, you can damage them, especially if the caps have leaked, so the pads might not be in the best condition. So if you use a twist off method or a cut method, you could probably take the whole pad with it and you'll end up then creating more work for yourself. Another method I've seen is hot air, and yeah, that doesn't work too well for two reasons. One, you can melt the plastics around, even if you cover it up with foil or polymer tape. Yeah, they can still get melted. And also, you put in a lot of excess heat into the board using hot air method. So I just would not recommend it at all. Double iron, safest option to go for, and I would always put on a little bit of flux before, just to help the old solder flow a bit and make life a little bit easier. So what I will do first of all is I will take these caps off, the modulator and these two jacks, just to make everything easier to get to and make life a bit easier. So what I'll start off with doing is putting a little bit of solder onto the pads just to get them flowing, and then we would just use get a hold of the actual cap itself and then just gently move it out. I'll go for the caps first, but I'll put some solder on these things. Some flux on here. That's that cap, and then this one is here. And our other one is here. There we go. Especially with these caps here, because yeah, the pads on that are very small. So it's easier to, what I like to do is just reflow the solder a little bit. First of all. And then just get hold of the capacitor from the other side of the board and just gently heat it and then just rock it out. It's the easiest way to get them out. Because as soon as it's free from the ground plane, it should just slide out. See, this one's proving not so easy. This one's coming out great. This one, big ground plane. It's starting to go now. That's it, it's out on that side. And that's it out. And we've caused no damage to the board. We can come back later with a bit of flux and some solder braid and then just yeah, clean that up and take it out of there. Take out the solder and then just pop a new one in. Well, the leg on that one was barely in there. Yeah, I think the leg on that was too short. There's barely any solder touching it. Okay, let's do this one next then. Three down, one to go. Okay, so we got all 4 caps out and no damage to the traces. Right, let's go for these jacks. These are a little trickier to get out because yes, they got these big lugs on. We're trying to get all the solder out. Can also be a bit of a pain, especially on this big ground plane. So for that, I'm going to try and get in there with a solder sucker. I think this one's just still catching up. There we go. Out. So that will allow us later to come in here and here with our iron at a decent angle to be able to solder without the need of taking off this entire connector here, which can be done if you have a proper desoldering tool, but if you don't, then I wouldn't recommend trying to remove this. You'll do more damage that way than using this method. Okay, so first of all we need to desolder these pins. Okay, hard to see. Let me get my magnifying glasses on so I can see the holes. Yeah, the middle one still needs a bit of, it's not quite cleared on that middle one. I'll reflow it a bit more. Maybe that's a ground plane, so yeah, it might be a bit trickier. Okay, so I am going to come back to that one later, because obviously that's going to take some time to get off. It doesn't want to come off easily. So rather than waste time and watch you spend 20 minutes fighting with that to get it off, I will move on to the main event. I will plug in my irons. So whilst waiting, I will put a bit of flux in a few places. Oh, first of all, let's get this cover off. So with that off, that gives us a little bit extra room later to get in there with the iron. I'll turn this off so that I can put a more suitable tip on. Obviously that one is a bit too large for doing the cats. You're putting your hand on the iron. Okay, let's see if these are hot enough to melt solder yet. Oh, yep, and they are. Okay, so let's start over here first. So with these, it's quite easy. Just position them, steady hand. Make sure you go down, get both sides connected at the same time. Gently squeeze. Come on. It doesn't want to come off. All right, let's try this one then. Okay, that's strange. So normally this works really well. I just wonder whether they've been glued on. Yep, and I just killed the pad. That's one off, but I broke the pad. I'm going to go with this one. Yeah, that one came off. A bit of persuasion. So maybe what I'll do is just reflow some of those joints first, but for that I have to carefully then take this off because it's still hot. Okay. Well, I'll slow them first. So hopefully will come off easier. Yeah, coming off easier. But I think at some point, maybe, I don't know, did they use some kind of glue on the bottom of these to hold them on before they got wave soldered, or no, it's SMD, isn't it? Sort of it just feels like they're just sticking a bit. Let's do these two audio caps. Don't worry too much about melting the plastic on the caps themselves. Just on the we can get into this one with this. No, it's too close, and it's going to be too close for that because the angle's too steep. Okay. We'll twist these around. There we go. we just singe that a little bit. But this one will be a bit trickier, won't it? Yeah, I'll have to do that a different way. So let's move on to our caps over here. Right. So now we've got all our caps off. I had to use the iron in combination with the double iron in order to get some of these ones off, but they eventually came off. So the thing is to just gently go around, bit of extra flux, solder braid, take off the excess solder, and then we can they'll be ready for putting the new caps on. We have to clear the solder out of these joints, so I will do that next, and obviously work on getting rid of this RF modulator, whether I have to get medieval on it and yeah, just take the board out and then try and cut something down below to get it off. Who knows, because yeah, I'm never ever going to use this thing again. You know, I'm going to use either RGB or composite on it, or with a HDMI solution in the long run. Definitely never going to be using RF. I only have one TV capable of accepting RF, and yeah, I'm not going to be using it plugged into there. So, yeah, time to do the cleanup. So our board has been recapped and it's looking good. Only managed to lift the one pad on this cap, but yeah, that was an easy fix. I just I have some thin copper sheet, so I just cut a small rectangle out of there, put it on there. The trace was still there, so I just soldered it on top of the trace. It only runs to this other ceramic cap here, so no big deal. Everything else went on smoothly. Had a bit of battle getting the RF modulator out because of, yeah, just it's basically just a great big heat sink. So I ended up just adding lots of solder, keep heating it with the iron, use the hot air rework station to warm the board around, and then yeah, just gently prise that out a bit, and then this one out a little bit each time, and then pushing on top of the pins from the other side whilst putting something in just to chock it, so that you know, when I let go of the soldering iron, the pressure, it didn't pin back into place. And so yeah, just go around the 3 pins until it comes out. Putting these back on, they went back on easy as anything. I just need to actually put this back on, which is obviously the other part of the keyboard. Locking mechanism. So yeah, we definitely want that back in place. Don't want to lose that. So yeah, the next thing to do is to reassemble it, but then I'll have to wait for another video because this one's already going on a little bit. Some upgrades. I will be fitting a GoTech drive internally. I've already printed this board, this GoTech mount off by, I have no idea because yeah, it didn't come out in the prints, but yeah, this is just something I found on Thingiverse. I did do one for the 500 plus I have, but the one thing is that yeah, it lined up this in the narrowest part, which was, yeah, strange. You can barely get the thumb drive in there, but it just about fits. I'm not bothered about having the OLED here because I'm going to print something that will go on top and then just feed the wires through the vents so it's non-destructive, so that I can have the OLED on the top. So yeah, I don't see the point in sticking it in the side because yeah, you have to look around to the side here to see what bloody image you're selecting, which is hating that, you just get a stiff neck. So yeah, we'll just be able to sit here and do that, and then the display will be up here. As I said, that'll be for another video. So there will be another video on this 1200 with some upgrades, so we can you know, get this thing up and running and ready for some modern tasks. As always, if you like this video, then you know, give it a like, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell so that you get notified of future uploads, and as always, thank you for watching.